Yo, what's going on, guys? KrispyFlakes here. For today's video, we're going to go through every NBA team's non-championship goal in 2020, because obviously, like, the big goal is to win a championship. In some cases, some teams just are not going to do that, or in other cases, it's like, okay, well, they can do that, but they might need to complete these other goals to get to that point. So yes, if you guys can please do me a quick favor and drop a like on this video, especially wants more NBA discussions like this. I was going to do an NBA 2K20 video today, but as you might see, 2K20 has like another billion gigabyte patch downloading. So yes, it's still downloading on my PlayStation. So I'm doing this today instead. And let me know in the comment section below, what would you say your favorite team's non-championship goal is for the 2019-2020 NBA season? Let's go ahead and get going on this. First one we have is Atlanta Hawks. DeAndre Hunter completes the core. I do think he'll be like a part of the core, playing that probably the 3 spot out there because, John Collins pretty much needs to play at the 4. I really don't like him at the center spot. So yes, DeAndre Hunter needs to go out there, be a solid 3 and D player, maybe a guy that can get a few assists out there. Pretty much like the Draymond Green of this team. I don't mean that like defensively, although I do think he'll be a good defender, but more so just like the guy that does all the little things out there, because of course the big time scoring is going to come from Trae Young and John Collins. Now, as far as it completing the core, I don't think that's the case because, like, Alex Len, I don't think is going to be, like, a championship center for this Atlanta Hawks team. They still need to go out there and probably get, like, a better fit at that spot. In the short term, they'll be fine, but I just don't think that, like, Alex Len is, like, a part of the completed core himself. So, yes, DeAndre, part of the core, does not completely complete it. Next up, we have Boston Celtics come together. Yes, this season, especially early on, I'm going to be paying very close attention to the chemistry of the team because let's be honest, that was like the downfall of Kyrie Irving on the Boston Celtics, was like the chemistry simply was not there. It was pretty much like Kyrie's way of playing basketball and then Brad Stevens' way of playing basketball, and both those systems kind of collided together. So we're going to see if Kemba Walker, playing on the best team of his NBA career is going to be a big-time chemistry asset to that, or maybe he actually plagues them just like Kyrie Irving does. So, yeah, so they can come together, play team basketball. There's so much talent on that roster that they should definitely be contending in the Eastern Conference. Next up, we got the Brooklyn Nets to preserve harmony. So, yes, going into this NBA season, I mean, we all know that Kevin Durant is not going to be playing. I know there's rumors out there they might return at some point, but let's definitely not bank on that. So, yes, I think what Kyrie Irving needs to do with this Brooklyn Nets team is just kind of show that, okay, like, we know we're not going to win the championship without Kevin Durant, but let's go out there, work on chemistry, and just kind of prove that, if you insert Kevin Durant into this lineup, all of a sudden we are a championship threat. And I just think that comes down to, like, going out there, still being competitive every single night, and just kind of building a system, because KD is that good as a player that if you guys put your system together and you insert Kevin Durant in there, it's going to be an asset straight up, man. Like, there won't be any big-time chemistry issues once he returns from his injury. Next, we have the Charlotte Hornets practice mindfulness. Yeah, y'all just gotta be patient, man. Let's be quite honest. Like, this team is probably, like, at least 5 years away from really, like, just doing anything. And that's assuming that Miles Bridges develops to be the player that I think he can be. That's assuming that Scary Terry is, actual scary to the NBA teams out there and not scary to his team's stat sheet. And then just like Malik Monk bringing things together, a few years of losing, getting good draft picks, and maybe eventually Michael Jordan, stepping down because he's been nothing but horrible for that team really since he's been in the office. But yeah, you just gotta be patient and just realize you gotta trust the process. You gotta be the new Philadelphia 76ers. Next up, we have Chicago Bulls make the dance. Yeah, I kind of have like Chicago as one of my sleeper teams for a team that could potentially make the playoffs at like the 7th or 8th spot. Really, any ranking videos I've seen, people have been saying that the Bulls are going to be like the 11th spot or the 10th spot. I don't see any reason why Zach LaVine cannot take that next step and get them to that 8th spot out there, especially, Lauri Markkanen, if he comes back and he's healthy. Wendell Carter, I know he's been injured pretty much since like the first few weeks of the NBA season last year, which was his rookie season. And of course, Kobe White, who I actually have as my dark horse for Rookie of the Year. So, yeah, that would be a huge first step and just like a confidence boost for this young Chicago Bulls team. Plus, you got Thaddeus Young. Guys like that, man, definitely do help in those cases. Next up, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. Get something good for Kevin Love. Kevin Love recently said that he does want to stay on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That could just be, him saving face with the franchise and being like, I'm going to say the right things out there because, Kevin Love's a cool dude like that, and he's going to, go out there and show confidence no matter what team he's on. But as far as getting something good for Kevin Love, I mean, just getting rid of Kevin Love would be good because you get rid of that horrible contract. Like, literally, if you have an opportunity to go out there and trade him for expiring pieces and maybe in the process get a decent draft pick or a good young asset, that's a big-time W. But simply just getting him off the team would be fair because a guy like Kevin Love is good for a few wins every NBA season. So, I mean, if anything, not only is he hurting you financially, but he's also hurting your chance of getting a better draft pick, which isn't like as bad these days because, you know, of course, like tanking has kind of been limited with some of the new draft lottery rules, but regardless. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Proved the pairing works. So the other day I did watch Luka Doncic and also Kristaps Porzingis play their first game together. Both looked really well out there. And I do think that's the first step for these guys, is just proving that you guys can work together. Now, as far as the rest of the roster goes, I still think it's probably a few seasons away, you know, in a few big-time free agent signings or just getting some veterans out there from really competing for the championship in a very loaded Western Conference. But regardless, like, you guys are young enough where you have time to wait for that. And just in the meantime, you got to work on improving your games. And by the time you both get to your prime, you'll be good to go and you'll be competing for a championship. Next up, we have the Denver Nuggets abandon all excuses. Yes, man, it's time to nut up or shut up. Like, you can go out there, man. It says, losing Game 7 in the conference semifinals at home to the Portland Trailblazers was a disappointment. We get that. But it's time to move on from that. Like, that's just kind of part of playing basketball, is that not every season is going to end in glory. I mean, more times than not, it's going to end in some sort of disappointment like that. So just come into this next season, realize your team potential out there, realize you got guys like Michael Porter Jr., now Jeremy Grant, that are going to help this team tremendously, and just, work hard. And because it's going to be those teams that continue to work hard even after disappointment that will end up winning an NBA championship. Next up, we have the Detroit Pistons. Find hope outside of Blake Griffin. As a Piston fan, I understand just how much of a load Blake Griffin does carry on this team. But I would say the hope would be maybe some more of like the newer veterans added to the squad. Guys like Tony Snell, Derrick Rose, maybe the improvement of Luke Kennard, all that stuff. It's like this team was able to get the 8th spot last season with probably like the weakest wing depth in the entire NBA. So just if those guys add marginal improvement, I would say the playoff hopes are pretty good for the Detroit Pistons. Next up, we got the Golden State Warriors, and it simply says, shut everyone up. Yeah, let's be straight up, man. Stephen Curry is getting completely disrespected. And I will say that as somebody that has probably disrespected Stephen Curry in this regards, I don't know what it is. It just seems like nobody has any confidence in this Golden State Warriors team whatsoever. I mean, the fact they were able to, that they got rid of Kevin Durant, but were able to get a guy like D'Lo, just goes to show, just for one, how underrated D'Angelo Russell is, being a first-time All-Star last season, but also goes to show just like how people forgot what this team was like before Kevin Durant was there. Like, you can't be in uproar over Kevin Durant joining the Warriors, and then once he leaves the team, be like, oh, the Warriors have no chance, because that just kind of goes to show that, okay, well, maybe they needed Kevin Durant. I know a lot of it too has to do with like Klay Thompson, his injuries out there, and hopefully he'll be fine by the end of the regular season. But I would say once Klay's back and healthy, Golden State Warriors, that's definitely not a team you want to be playing in the playoffs. Next up, we got the Houston Rockets. Make it work. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory, man. I would say there's more negative Nancy's out there saying that Russell Westbrook and James Harden are not going to be able to coexist. I will say, like, last year, Paul George had his best NBA season. That was with Russell Westbrook, kind of taking a step back, still putting up really good numbers, but just in a sense taking a step back and realizing he has to be sometimes more of a Robin than a Batman. And hopefully he has that same type of, chemistry out there with James Harden. Next up, we have Indiana Pacers. To see a healthy Victor Oladipo. Yeah, I don't know when he's going to be back exactly. I think it's going to be sometime in, like, February. So, I think that once he goes back in the lineup, there won't be like big time chemistry issues. It's just, I'm very curious to see what this Pacers team does, pre Victor Oladipo and post, healthy Victor Oladipo. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Clippers hit the playoffs healthy. Yeah, there's no lie here that it's like completely healthy. This team is probably the best in the NBA, at least in my opinion. But there is that minor, small risk just for like a guy like Kawhi Leonard continuing to have lower body injuries, or a guy like Paul George with his shoulder. it's like a thing like that, especially going into the playoffs, even just a little bit can be the difference between moving on to the next round or getting eliminated to one of these stronger teams out in the Western Conference. Next up, we got the Lakers. Help LeBron James win MVP number 5. I disagree with this. LeBron does not need to win an MVP. His focus should be on the defensive end of the court and getting chemistry going with Anthony Davis and the rest of the guys on the team, and they should focus on making the playoffs. Because guess what? LeBron James did not make the playoffs last season, despite having injuries and stuff like that. I do understand that. And Anthony Davis, I think, has like one postseason win ever or something like that. So, yeah, MVP, definitely not the Lakers' focus. Getting to the playoffs and making noise out there should definitely be that, man. Next up, we got the Memphis Grizzlies. John Morant leads the league in turnovers. Okay, let me read this real quick here. Over the last dozen seasons, 4 different players have led the NBA in total giveaways. Steve Nash, Russell Westbrook. Okay, this is stupid, man. Come on, bro. I mean, I guess that shows that they trust him to go out there and make the plays, because chances of you're passing the ball the most, have the ball in your hands the most, it also comes with good decisions. So, okay, that was an interesting way to word that. We got the Miami Heat reel in that second star. I have a prediction that it's going to end up being Chris Paul. I think the hopeful wishing is that it's Bradley Beal. Definitely like to see Bradley Beal over Chris Paul playing with Jimmy Butler, but we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, they definitely need that second guy to really compete in the Eastern Conference. Next, the Milwaukee Bucks keep Giannis happy. Well, Malcolm Brogdon's gone. Eric Bledsoe's out for like the first 2 or 3 weeks of the NBA season with injuries. I mean, Giannis is going to have to carry a huge load, and I think he's ready for that challenge. I don't really see anything like upsetting him at all, unless he really is just pissy that Brogdon's not on the team. But I think overall, like emotionally, he'll be fine. It's just going out there and winning basketball games and proving that you are that MVP. Timberwolves, remove all doubt about Karl-Anthony Towns. If you have doubt about this man right here, you're stupid, bro. Like, Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the best centers in the NBA. There's no issue with him whatsoever. The doubt is the rest of the guys around Karl-Anthony Towns. I feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves are just notorious for putting like piss-poor players around their all-star big guys. Kevin Garnett, Kevin Love, Karl-Anthony Towns. We know what happened to the last 2 players. So let's just hope, it's not 3 strikes you out. Next up, we got the Pelicans. Figure out what to do with Zion Williamson. Well, you got a lot of good NBA players on that team. What I would do is give him the ball in pick and roll situations and get him to that basket, get him to the free throw line, and don't make him play a certain style that's not suited to his game. If he's not a big time 3-point shooter, don't force him, man. Now, if he's proven that his style does not work, then maybe that's a discussion to be had. But go out there, let the young blood play his style of basketball. Next up, we have the New York Knicks. Stay out of the news. I mean, unless that news is like, the Knicks have won 40 games on the NBA season, are going to make the playoffs. That's some good news. But yeah, keep the drama out of there. It was a bad start because Marcus Morris has already smashed the basketball into the head of, I believe it was Justin Anderson, and that was just unneeded. He was trying to show some toughness, I guess, but it was just it did not really come off as tough. It just came off as piss poor sportsmanship. Next up, we got the OKC Thunder. Complete the dismantling process. Yeah, they got all these draft picks. They got these dudes that have good NBA talent, but collectively are not going to do anything for the OKC Thunder, but could go out there and really help other teams. Chris Paul, Gallinari, Steven Adams. So it's don't just teeter on mediocrity. Trade these 3 good pieces away and get some more assets back for it. Even if you got 20 first round picks, damn dude, one of those guys is bound to be the next LeBron. Probably not the next LeBron, but the next, all-star, superstar style of player to play with Shai Gilgeous. Next up, we got the Magic. Prove that closing run was real. Yeah, that just means build on what they did last year in the playoffs, and I guess they didn't really do much in the playoffs, but just from the end of the regular season, it says winners in 14 of their final 20 games. Yeah, just continue to do that. See what Markelle Fultz can do. Maybe make a trade for Mo Bamba and actually get something back for him, because it's clear that they're kind of sold on Vucevic going forward. 76ers lead the league in defensive efficiency. I think they will definitely do that. A front court of Joel Embiid and Al Horford just sounds absolutely terrifying. I don't know who's going to stop that. Not so much as offensively, but defensively. What are teams going to do? It's going to be an absolute nightmare. Next, we got the Phoenix Suns answer the cornerstone question. So there's one important question for the Phoenix Suns this season. Are Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton good enough to make this organization relevant again? That's not going to be answered this season. They are too young to even tell that, man. DeAndre's going into his second year, while Devin Booker's already proved that he's a great shooting guard, one of the best in the NBA. So, no, you don't have to, like, prove that question. You got to prove that if they can continue to put the right players around these two young stars. Portland Trailblazers post an offensive rating of 116. So I guess that's just asking them to, like, maybe, like, defensively, they're not going to be the greatest. So go out there and just score like a billion points, and maybe you'll, win a championship that way, I suppose. Next up, we got the Sacramento Kings make the playoffs. One of my sleeper teams that could get that 8th spot. I know a lot of San Antonio Spurs fans pretty much say I'm a straight up hater. But I don't know, man. Like, I just think, like, if the Kings make that next jump this season, outside of the San Antonio Spurs, which team do you see them, like, making it over? Like, I don't see them beating the Utah Jazz, the Denver Nuggets, the LA Clippers, the Lakers. I don't see that happening. So it just happens to be that, like, the Spurs are, like, my teetering playoff team. And very well, the Spurs could just make it, and that's just the end of that. Next up, we got the Spurs reestablish the shutdown culture. So it says, a big part of their defensive efficiency, like, the previous seasons, was Tim Duncan or Kawhi Leonard. It's just, you do have DeJounte Murray back on the team now, because wasn't he, like, All-NBA third team before his injuries? So, that's a big improvement right there. Jakob Poeltl should be even more improved this season, and it's like DeMar DeRozan is serviceable at defense. So I think they'll probably be fine, but it's going to be a collective thing out there. Toronto Raptors bask in the afterglow. So it says the best way to avoid a championship hangover is to keep a light buzz going for as long as possible. Well, I ain't gonna lie, man. Losing your finals MVP and, replace him with Stanley Johnson, kind of hard to be glowed up after that. I understand OG Anunoby is, like, going to be improved and probably the starting small forward. But I think the best thing that the Raptors need to do is just, like, appreciate what happened and to continue to go out there and just, like, support their team and enjoy the game of basketball, but don't really have high expectations of a championship. Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell finishes in the top 10 in MVP voting. Yeah, he's really going to be the X factor for the Utah Jazz to really contend for a championship. Because, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, like, those guys are good enough to, like, get you to the playoffs and probably get you to the second round. But if you really want to take that next big giant step, it comes down to Donovan Mitchell coming from, like, all-star caliber player to superstar caliber player. And the final team is the Washington Wizards. It's trade Bradley Beal. Yeah, time to let him go, guys. Come on, man. Like, get something for him. Don't end up just getting shafted and just, like, I don't know, man. Get something for Bradley Beal. He's not going to help you get to the playoffs. And that's pretty much it, guys. So hope you all enjoyed this video. Man, it feels good to do another discussion like this. It's been a while since I've done these type of videos, man. Definitely miss doing them. So hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, drop a like on this video. As always, check out that second channel, Extra Crispy, for daily NBA content over there. And peace out, my friends.